Hey everyone, it's me, Jen, here, and we're going on a new series that I call What's Pissed Me Off? Or at least, mostly what's pissed me off over the last week. And on today's docket, an international student accused of using Canadian food banks. What the hell is up with Kanye West and Yeezy porn? Girl attacked in the school by a trans student? And they warned the teachers beforehand? And of course, I can't remember the last one because I've got the brain of a stoner. Yes, the Canadian Pension and Ontario Teachers Pension Fund going to somehow fund India's roads. Someone please explain that one. But let's get on with it. Okay, and the first thing we're gonna be irritatingly yelling at is this thing that's going on here. Sorry about the setup today, guys. I can't see what I'm doing on my OBS without having my secondary monitor on, and I can't find the cable for that. I don't know why. It's just not found. So I will be linking all of the sites below. I did initially read them off of other sites, but then did more digging, and then these are the final sites I, kind of came upon. I can't remember all the sites I was on because some of them were on my phone from over the past week, so I apologize. I can't remember everything. Anyways, over the past week, a man who has been identified as Mehul Parapadi, I do apologize if I said that wrong. I am not East Indian, and it's not something I will commonly say, names like that. So I do apologize. And he has been accused of exploiting Canadian food banks. Oh, exploiting student food banks. The first one I read was exploiting Canadian food banks. So, sometimes it's like a game of telephone, right? One story turns into something else, and then, by the end, it's banana balls, monkey butts. I don't know, right? So he's been, using the free food, designated for students facing financial hardship. And the guy is a data scientist intern, and he was doing data science internship. Now, a bunch of people were actually accusing him of having a proper employment, sorry, with TD banks, but he was just doing an internship. Now, he can make a frick ton of money if he was working for TD banks, like on average $98,000 a year. I actually remember calling up my niece, and I'm like, sweetie, you're very smart. You should do data scientist. You make a lot more money. She's like, yes, I'm already taking data science. And I'm like, yes, good girl. Anyways, but I get back into this, accused of using the food bank, and he says he was using food banks and, everything. But the problem was when he decided to post a video of himself bragging about how much money, he, saves by visiting, food banks on, college and university campuses, because he's bragging about the savings. I'm not sure if he's actually a struggling student. There's lots of students struggling. And there's a lot of Canadians struggling right now that are using the food bank. And the food bank across the nation is highly, highly being stressed right now. And unfortunately, a lot of students of the international kind are using them. And apparently it's been a very high amount in East Indian students. And I'm not trying to place the blame on one group. But however, there have been previous reports, I will try to remember to link them in, by CBC and a few others, National Post, about the epidemic. I don't want to say an epidemic, but the high rate of use by international students being told that they are able to access these facilities even though they are meant for Canadian residents. My issue that I mostly have is when you go to any country and you try to do, a work visa or something like that, they want you to have money in the bank already. Like 20,000, whatever thousand, it needs, because it's calculated based on people, what you're doing, blah, 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 right? It's supposed to cover all your expenses. If anything, you should have more than the basic amount you need in there to cover the expenses just in case of inflation. And that should go for any place, where you're, going to study or move to. And they have this in there. The governments have this in there. So services like food banks and little things like that are meant to help residents and people who actually, citizens that live in the country, don't get burdened. And unfortunately, because of, bad information spreading around, international students are now abusing the system. I could go on about the issues with international students, and it mostly has to do with how Trudeau has completely screwed up our immigration system. Yeah. It's really difficult when you're working with people who want to work 70 hours plus a week in this country, and they're being denied, yet we're letting tons of students in. We're giving them an education, and I believe a good chunk of them don't stay. They just go back. And again, it's nothing against, we have great schools here. I get it. You want to come here, get a great education, but you shouldn't come here without the general expectation that this is going to be expensive. Canada is expensive. I would looked at the States a few times and I'm like, oh, that sounds good. You know what? I don't want to be bankrupt by their healthcare system. I'm going to stay in Canada even though it's so bloody expensive. But I digress. You have to come in the country with a certain amount of money. It doesn't matter if you're a student or whatever. It depends on your visa and stuff. And the government sets that. I don't, obviously. But, there's a minimum amount you're supposed to have in the bank. And it's always better to have more than the minimum. And there are websites that you can check about how much places in the world cost. On averages, you can go on to, local grocery sites and try to get an idea of how much food costs. I do this every single time I go traveling. I'm just, you have to do the research so you don't get stabbed in the foot because you were a dumb monkey. Okay, and next up is the rapper formerly known as Kanye West confirms that he is going to launch an adult entertainment site with Stormy Daniels' ex-husband. Do you ever read something and you really wish you weren't on this planet anymore? Or you were one of those tribes, like the North Centennialese, that are like, we don't want any interaction from the outside world. We like our primitive lifestyle and have no idea who the hell Kanye West is or Stormy Daniels' ex-husband. I mean, the last thing I want to watch is this Yeezy porn that they announced on the site formerly known as Twitter. And I will be dead in the cold, cold ground before I ever recognize it as X. But yes, the man with a porn addiction is making porn. Honestly, I should have saw that one coming. I mean, Kanye has been kind of losing it. The dinosaurs were made up by the Illuminati. Hitler could have won Wimbledon. Okay, that was from a recent Family Guy, but I digress. The government hides secrets in SpaghettiOs. Sorry. Oh, I should be better than that. No, I know I'm not better than that at all. I'm just a bitch. But yes, he is dead set on getting the business off the ground with veteran industry Mike Moz about working together per TMZ. I am trying not to laugh right now because it's one of those things. They're like I'm having a stroke, aren't I? This isn't the real life. This is a stroke. This is a stroke. It's just like when Donald Trump got into the presidentship. Like, I'm having a stroke every single day for the next 4 years. Every time I pick up the phone, I look and it's like, is this an article from The Onion? No, it's not. Oh my God. Yes, apparently my team Vixen Media Group, I think Moz is team Vixen Media Group and Yeezy's brand, they're teaming up. And apparently when I did Google this, Pornhub was the first thing that came up, and it's like 5 hours ago it posted, and I'm like, I'm not going to click on that. I have seen a lot of porn. I used to do porn. I still have an OnlyFans account, which I gotta get back up and active again because, frankly, I love my naked body. But Hollywood is a giant brothel of pornography that destroyed my family. I have to deal with this addiction, is something that Kanye West has written. It's not gonna. Sorry, I gotta read this again because I'm trying not to laugh. I really am. Hollywood is a giant brothel pornography destroyed my family, and I deal with the addiction Instagram promotes. It's not gonna let it happen to Northie and Chicago, he writes on Instagram per page 6. Okay, I was reading that right. I was also stumbling over the words. It's just not proper grammar. I mean, I'm not good at proper grammar, but when I write, I use Grammarly. This way it doesn't look like I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, Kanye West could afford a Grammarly premium. What I don't understand is he's starting a porn company, but he's got an addiction to porn, but he doesn't want his kids to be affected by porn. Now, again, as a parent and a former pornographer, I knew what I was getting into when I decided to get into pornography. I knew it was going to affect my kid's life, regardless of whatever. And this just seems a very backwards ass approach in Kanye West's head. But then again, the guy has gone insane. He's probably going bankrupt because of being dropped by Balenciaga and Adidas. So let's just keep watching the insanity while it keeps happening, I guess, because, this whole world's nothing more than, going to hell in a handbasket. Now, we're getting on to something that, I'm going to be honest, can be quite distressing, especially if you have gone through bullying in school. For me, I just thought this was just outrageous, because a transgender student savagely beat her friend using a Stanley cup. I'm going to repeat that for everybody. A transgender student savagely beat her friend using a Stanley cup. One of those clunky ass motherfuckers. I just don't understand why school administration, even when I was in school, never wanted to get their hands involved on the actual issues involved when it comes to school bullying. I'm gonna be honest, I always told, hey teacher, please get them to stop, please get them to stop, please get them to stop. Then at one point, I'm being picked on and gang, bullied at once. And that's when they actually, got involved. And I'm like, you guys couldn't have gotten involved sooner when I was saying stuff. Thank you. And essentially, this was the same thing that happened here. This person basically came up with their own version of a burn book, more or less a beat book, I will call it. And the girl that was beaten, I believe, was on the top of the list. I believe the girl's friend found the book and was bringing it to the counselor and is like, you guys have to do something. We think we're going to be in danger, We are fearing for our safeties. And then they're like, hey, listen, we know you're scared, but we've got it under control with this student. Which is something they always say before shit hits the fan. I'm going to be honest. Like I said, always complained, then something happened. And then finally, when the shit hits the fan, the administration's like, oh. You could have done something when the students were telling you. Unidentified student had to be hospitalized. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped ahead there. But 5 hours after the other student brought this up to the counselors, the student is savagely beaten in the school cafeteria by the male student. I didn't say what gender they were. They're a male to female student. And frankly, I am in the same place with a lot of, ever since my little incident where I was basically told to shut up by a man in a dress, I've become much more conservative. I'm so sorry. But boys are physically stronger than girls. Boys at 13 are physically stronger than girls. There's a reason we don't let girls and boys play rugby together. I mean, I was a tough rugby player. I don't think I would be comfortable playing against a boy on the team or a boy, in the team. Maybe as a volunteer helping, assist the coach, fine. But like actually in the team, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. And now hearing more and more about these trans students in sports, I'm thinking about like the full contact sports like I used to be in. Rugby has not a lot of padding in comparison to football, guys. It really is a painful sport. Yeah, the fact that this kid, this poor girl, oh my god, she was 12 years old and she had to have staples in her head to close the gash and cut before undertaking concussion protocol. Lovely. If anyone's been through concussion protocol, yeah, it's not fun. You can't sleep after for a long time because if you fall asleep, it could be bad and you can wind up like Liam Neeson's first wife. Unfortunately, I really loved her. I cannot remember her name right now. Fortunately, she got a concussion, a brain bleed, and it just went bad. It just from a skiing accident really sucked. Honestly, the student, it was all caught on security camera and it was deeply disturbing. I wouldn't doubt it. At least that's what the Super Nintendo Todd Bauer said. But apparently, what I've heard is they're kind of like defending the trans student, which at this point, there is no defending. Assault is assault. Doesn't matter what you identify as. They could have stopped the assault. Now, this girl is probably going to have trauma from this for the rest of her life, which is very sad. The assailant even screamed, "I'm gonna murder you," repeatedly at the students. How did the teachers not see this as a red flag, especially in the American school system, where you have more gun shootings on schools than anywhere else? Really? How do you guys not be like, oh, we should, take this more seriously? Maybe this student could have come in with a gun, right? To me, that seems totally plausible. It's the United States. How many school shootings have there been this year? The fact that I even have to ask that and think that they have been underreported scares the fucking hell out of me. The school board claimed that it was an 8-minute attack, but the students claimed that it was 28 minutes. 28 minutes, 8 minutes, both are way too long, and both should have never have happened. I'm pretty outraged as a parent myself. And the fact that I was bullied and always told the counselors to do something before shit hit the fan. This is another example of the school administration not wanting to get their hands dirty when they should be getting their goddamn hands dirty. Sorry. I'm getting very heated in this topic. Very fucking heated in this topic. I should calm down, but I don't want to calm down. I'm very heated because the adults in charge are not hearing from the students and considering their safety. They're doing the bare minimum. And this is in Canada and in the US. I mean, yeah, maybe some days the parents also need to slap their kids around a bit and be like, you shouldn't do that. That's bad. Slap. Most of these parents go walk all over. I love that little trend for a little while where everyone was bitching about millennial parents raising their kids. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, ha, my kid's better than that. My kid, his special needs, is rambunctious and still behaves better than yours. Yeah. I digress about my, gloating here of being a more responsible millennial, I don't know anymore, parent. Like, even the people who were witnessing it are going to be traumatized. Like the one girl who stood up against the whole school system. It's like she just repeated that in her head in bed. And I can tell you, there have been times I've been sleeping and I have post-traumatic stress dreams from one of my incidents. Well, that one incident. Honestly, this is just shows how the school system overall doesn't care about students. I truly do believe that the system doesn't care about students. Sometimes you have great players, but they just become complacent in their jobs. And then when you become complacent, you start not to care as much. And sometimes you're just there because you're tenured and you don't, think. And honestly, teachers get so much crap already and I feel bad for them. There are teachers now getting their asses kicked for telling students to put their phones away. Where's the parent slapping the child and saying you can't do that? Don't be a dumb monkey. We're just going to leave it there for now. I'm very angry. Okay, and finally, let's talk about the Canadian pension plan and the Ontario's Teachers Union pension investment. If you guys don't follow what Canada has been doing, and I'm trying to still wrap my hand about how we're getting the ROI back for our investment with our pension money, us lovely Canadian taxpayers' pension money, which I truly don't expect to see in my lifetime. I truly don't. And people were saying that back in the 90s. Both of the pension plans, Ontario and the federal plan, Ontario's teachers and the Canadian federal plan, have given about nearly $300 million each. So that's over $500 million, $500 million, my apologies. $500 million to give to India's National Highway Infra Trust, which is part of India's government's way of, it's called India's National Monetization Pipeline. And in this trust portfolio, apparently there are 15 toll roads in this highway trust portfolio. 15 toll roads. Why are we spending dollars for rupees? Do you guys know how much a rupee is? I could be wrong, but I think Russia's ruble is more. Let me check quickly, actually, because now I'm curious. I want to know. But yeah, let's check this out. Let's, I already have the Indian rupee installed. That's amazing. Yes, I think they're nearly at par. But yeah, they're pretty much at par. I mean, I've always considered the Russian ruble fucking useless. The Indian rupee is right there with the Russian ruble. And we're paying for their highway system, which we're getting rupees back for. A very small amount of money. I've got an idea. How about we just buy their gold? Most of the gold in the world is held by East Indian women. Why don't we just buy their gold? Or better yet, let's use that $500,000 to, fix up the roads up north. Fix up our own highway system. Maybe make sure the Coca-Cola doesn't wash out again like it did a few years ago. Or that whole thing with the Abbotsford flood, which happened in the same time. Or, here's this. We work on the homeless problem and the drug problem. And maybe bring back proper institutions to put these people in who fit the criteria that we have in our medical systems of, hey, you actually do need to be committed. Because half of these people do need to be committed. Like, especially the ones that are going loopy-loops. There's only so much until your brain and drugs do that, and they rot your brain cells. I should know. I only smoke pot, but I can feel it. It's why this whole rant always seems... But... it's just... I feel this money could be spent better in investments we might actually see come back. I would feel bitter giving this to Dubai, Malaysia. Actually, I would definitely give it to Malaysia. They're like Dubai, but better. Why do you say that, Jen? Well, you see, Malaysia actually has these things in place for people who immigrate there to actually move up instead of being used as, slave labor housed outside the city in these like bunker houses so they can, make the rest of Dubai look like a shining place of the billion-dollar rich. You know why Dubai doesn't have homelessness on its streets? It's because they send them all out into like these little houses. I remember watching like, oh my god, it's so clean from an Instagram or an influencer in Dubai. And I'm like, you don't realize what the government does in Dubai to make it look like that for you. It is really corrupt over there. But Malaysia, I would invest in Malaysia. If anything, I'm even thinking I should now invest in Malaysia and in even Azerbaijan. There's better places in Asia to invest than India, I think. But this is the whole Trudeau government's problem. They seem to have this thing with India. And apparently this has also happened with the prior Trudeau. My mom was telling me a lot of the same things happened then. So I'm wondering what the Trudeau's have with India. Like what kind of like secret, thing they have with India. Now I'm just being a weird conspiracy theorist, but I'm just thinking there's so many better places to put your money. Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan. Those are nice oil-rich places, right? Oil. We like oil. Why we have the Canadian, the Alberta oil sands. We like oil. Where else could we invest that money? The healthcare system. All the governments, all the provinces. We could have more healthcare. Invest in that because we should invest in our healthcare to invest in our people. And I just don't mean our basic healthcare. I think we now need to include basic eyes and dental back in some of our provincial programs. Why dental, Jen? Well, you see, if your teeth aren't taken care of and you get abscesses and something, the infection goes and spreads into your blood system, it can go to your brain, it can go to your heart. And yeah. So, yeah, maybe we should install a basic dental system. That could be a much better investment because then people wouldn't be spending their own money. We could figure that all out. Maybe make molar implants less than $4,000 each. Get I could give I could get for $4,000 I can get veneers and my molars done down in Argentina and get a skiing vacation. But let's just give our money over to India. And at first I thought my mom just read something stupid on the internet because she was the one who told me about this. My mom told me, and I'm like, oh God, Mom, what did you read now? Oh God, you're right. Holy shit. Why are the other. Why? Why is Ontario's teacher thing also involved? Teachers are getting screwed left and center. This just goes back to my other thing, my last thing about how the teachers are always getting screwed. Then they become complacent in their jobs, and then they just don't care. Or they care too much and they leave because they can't stand being in that environment. Oh my God, I just read this next little bit. It's actually a strong risk adjusted return. It's a strong risk adjust. I'm done for today. I am tired. I have to get up early to do more shit. I am cranky, but I'm cool with that. But yeah. Hey everyone who stayed to the end, thanks for staying to my madness. If you love me ranting, rumbling, and raving to things that piss me off once a week, please subscribe. And I am trying to do video essays at least bi-weekly, so please subscribe to that. And hopefully I will figure out what the heck is going